Hello and welcome to this edition All-Star Weekend of the Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. How you doing this weekend, Dad?
I'm doing fine. It's if you don't like the heat, move to Montana because
I'm
it's
sure it's hot there.
it's going to be 100 in the next 2 days, and that'll be about the fourth day we've had 100 in the last 3 weeks. But that's it's summertime and it's hot and it's supposed to be. So
It's July. Here it's been warm here, more humid than that hot. Low 90s, high 80s, but very, very humid. Today,
it's supposed to be 100 degrees tomorrow and Tuesday with high humidity, so the heat indexes are supposed to be 110 plus. So what do you do in that situation? You don't go outside in the middle of the day. I mean,
you don't melt. And that's when you go to ball games and they got the water spraying in the walkways
right.
And everything underneath. It feels good while you walk in, but it feels mighty humid when you walk away from it. Those are the fun days at the park. So you asked me before we started, I watched Futures game. I did not. I didn't even know. I didn't even look to see what the lineups were. Been busy. Got a trip coming up and been off this weekend, so I've been cleaning. So first weekend off in a while, but I've been watching the Mets games. But did you get to see any of the
I watched the whole game, and there were about 5 kids that kind of impressed me. 2 starting pitchers. A kid named Noble Meyer, who pitches in the Miami system. He's got a nice breaking pitch and a pretty decent fastball. And the other starter that really impressed me, he pitched first 2 innings for the American League, was Emiliano Teodo. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's from
Okay.
He's in the Texas organization. And this kid, 98, 99, and a curveball breaking pitch. I mean, change up. He had the whole arsenal. Probably if I had to pick one player that impressed me the most, it'd be him. The third baseman, Cam Collier, who's in the Cincinnati organization, he looked really good. The DH and catcher, Drake Baldwin of Atlanta, he was impressive. And finally, Justin Crawford of Philadelphia, the outfielder.
Right.
He made a nice dive and catch in the outfield, and he also got a hit.
Yeah, he that's a guy he's been talked about since he's hit the minors.
And then the other thing, he only played a couple of innings, and he only got one at bat, was the catcher for Baltimore in the Baltimore chain. This great big kid. He's huge. Now, it was my understanding that when this kid came to the big leagues, they were going to move Rushman from behind the plate, put him at first base. Well, 2 reasons. 1, so he doesn't get beat up behind there, and 2, to save his body, his knees and that, so he could play longer at first base. Well, now yesterday, they said that Rushman was going to stay behind the plate because he's one of the top 2 catchers in baseball. Right. And this kid, they're training this kid to play first base.
Okay.
That's what they said during the game yesterday. Now, he only had 1 at bat, and he walked because I think everybody was afraid to pitch to him. This young man is a giant. I mean, he's huge. And those were the 5.
Like McCann size, like when McCann came up, how big he was.
Oh, McCann's a midget.
Okay, because a lot of catchers now are not very big because they were
right because they're more athletic. And I mentioned that last week. You didn't see that many big, heavy kids coming up because everybody wants speed. I think the starting first baseman for the National League was about 6'7". He stole a base. I mean,
Ohtani is what 6'6", 6'7".
The kid that Washington just called up.
Wood. Yeah, Woods. Yeah, Wood. Yeah, Wood. I keep wanting to call him Woods. It's Wood. Yeah.
He's played 13 games for Nationals. He's gotten on base in 12 of them.
Yeah, he is. I've been hearing about him too since I'm so glad.
Their number one draft pick played right field yesterday for the first few innings for the National League, from LSU. And
was that Cruz?
Huh?
Is that Cruz?
No, he was on. No, he was on the LSU team that won the national championship.
Yeah. I can't think of his
I
name.
can't think of his name. I should have written it down. But anyway, he looked pretty good. But when he comes up, he'll be in left field. Woods will be in right field. I mean, Woods will be in left field. He'll be in right field. And I mean, they're kids.
Yeah.
The only thing is, after 3-4 years, you got to pay them. That's when you lose them, and they'll go to one of the big city teams that can pay them.
Well, the Nationals do okay. I think they'd be able to. They're not losing players because they can't pay them. They're losing players because they just got to make room. They got aged. They kind of got aged up on them. Strasburg getting hurt. That killed them. And having management really just not having. They don't know what the future holds there. That's their biggest issue.
Yeah, they're still trying to get an owner.
Right.
Because the owner, the guy that wants to buy them, there's a big screw up with the television thing because he wants to put them on the old NBC station, and Masson's fighting it. They want to keep them on Masson.
So, that was because of the original agreement. Speaking of LSU, we got Skeens starting in the All-Star game with first rookie ever or something like that.
Yeah.
So at this halfway point, would you call him rookie of the year in the National League or?
Probably. I would probably say he's the rookie of the year. He's 6-0. The other night he had a no-hitter for 7 innings. They thrown 99 pitches, struck out something like 10 or 11. And
he's figured out how to keep his pitch count down where he's getting 7, almost 8 innings now.
There was great criticism of Pittsburgh because they took him out, didn't let him finish the game and pitch his no-hitter.
Right.
The people that are criticizing aren't old enough to remember when the Mets ruined the guy.
Johan Santana, I was going to say.
Johan Santana, they left him in the game. He threw 140 pitches, and his arm was shot.
Done.
He never pitched. He pitched for a few more years, but he never pitched up to the level. And it was because they left him in the game.
That was Terry Collins says he has one regret, and that was keeping him in the game.
And I mean, even Olivia Dunn, his girlfriend, said you can't, his arm's got to pitch for 10 more years.
Yeah. So, and she's awesome support. Like she did up their apartment and everything, celebrating him being, the starter and all that. So.
Yeah, and he almost didn't start because everybody had him penciled in as the starter, but the Arizona Diamondbacks coaching staff and manager who are running the National League, they were going to start Chris Sale if he didn't pitch today. And this is Sunday. We're taping on Sunday. So they were going to pitch Chris Sale. Well, then Sale is not playing. He's out of the game, and the young man from Philadelphia that's doing so well, he's in the game. He's there.
Yeah, Ranger Suarez.
So
I don't keep up with the All-Stars like I used to. I saw
he started the game. Guess what? I'm watching the first inning.
Yeah. Well, I probably will too. And I don't know if he's starting, but I think in the so you would have Skeens over Merle as your National League Rookie of the Year right now.
Wow. Yeah, see, here the problem is one's a pitcher and one's a position player.
Yeah, everyday player.
Yeah, so that's the thing. But right now, he is just, I mean, I haven't seen anything like this in a rookie since Strasburg broke in.
Right. He is incredible. I hope he takes care of himself. I hope the pitching staff, this might be one of those, generational pitchers that we haven't seen since Clemens or Nolan Ryan that's special.
He is a young Nolan Ryan with control. Because when Nolan Ryan first got to the major leagues, he was with the Mets. He pitched out of the bullpen for the 69 Mets, and you have no idea where his
That's why the Mets let him go because he wasn't that good. He was just fast. Tom Seaver was their guy. But yeah. I mean, I was going to say other people, but Seaver was the darling of the town. But yeah, this All-Star is, I've been keeping up not keeping up with it, but I've been seeing little blurbs like Skeens and Merrill starting. We were talking before we came on the Orioles struggles, but man, what is the friction there between them and the Yankees this weekend? I mean,
Kjerstad got beamed, and there was another pitch that came inside to somebody else. Well, the Baltimore manager hollered out. He hollered out at the umpire about, how long you're going to let him do this before you warn him or something like that. Well, then the Yankee bench started hollering at the Baltimore manager.
Yeah.
Well, don't prod the bear. He's
came right out there.
Let me tell you, don't mess with this dude.
Yes.
And he went right across, and the catcher for the Yankees tried to get between him, and he shoved that dude all the way back to the bench. Yeah. And then, of course, everything emptied, and then everything went back. Well, Kjerstad was put on the IR with a concussion.
Right.
But anyway.
His eyes are about that.
And the other thing is this, too. Bellinger is on the IR because he got hit by a pitch in his hand by the Orioles in the Cubs and Orioles series, which, by the way, the Cubs outscored them 73-2 for the 3 games. And Major League Baseball as a whole was screaming about the Orioles hitting batters. That was the second batter that they hit in the hand and put him on the IR. So that was a problem, and they kind of thought the Yankees were retaliating. So that's what all that was about.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, it's ridiculous. Well, you said it before. Your wife and stepmom pointed out how close these guys are on the plate now, so they can turn on the inside pitch and also get power on the outside pitch. It's crazy how close these guys are to the plate, and pitchers are going to come inside. It's just they're going to try to own it. And
they've done that since the game was invented.
Right. That's their part of the plate too. So that's just how it is. And that they're going to keep hitting people. And you said this year the hit batsman's up. You said that last week. So
the hit batsman's up and the catcher interference is up.
Right. Because they're trying to snatch the ball to get the ball at the earliest point. So do we have any other news this week?
Oh, let's play it. I mean, tonight at 7:00 is the draft, the MLB draft. It's on both, from what I understand, it's going to be on both MLB and ESPN. That's at 7:00 tonight. I think it comes on.
ESPN's not showing a game tonight? Is there no games tonight because of the All-Star?
That's what I think the games are played this afternoon. I'm pretty sure if there is a game tonight, it's on opposite the draft, and I thought they said ESPN and MLB were both going to do it, unless they're both going to do the home run derby, which is on at 8:00 tomorrow night, and then the All-Star game is 8:00 on Tuesday.
Yeah, so there is no night game tonight.
I didn't think so, because they want everything over with, so anybody has to travel to Texas. See, everybody wants to get if they're not going to the All-Star game, they want to get their break. They want to get on and get mommy and the kids and go to the beach.
Go to Hawaii, yeah.
Do something, go somewhere. That's part of it.
Yeah, because they did the ESPYs last week, and that kind of threw me off because I was just guessing because usually the ESPYs is the day after the All-Star game, but for some reason, if the All-Star game's getting played later this year, then
2:00 Tuesday afternoon, they're having the red carpet show.
Okay, you're going to be all about it. I can't wait to talk about it next Sunday.
Oh yeah, I've written it down on the calendar. I mean, I thought it was on Saturday, but I wrote it down on the calendar. 2:00. Here they come with the Mr. T starter kits, and but anyway, One other thing, Devers is being held out of the All-Star game because he's got some soreness.
Okay.
And so hopefully he can come back because the Red Sox are playing well. Not defensively, but they're playing well.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker, Westberg is taking Devers' place. Kyle Tucker's not playing. He's got a bad ankle or something, and Santander is taking his place.
Yeah, I saw where them two were made the team because of I didn't say who was not playing, but
And
break in.
while we are still talking about the All-Star game, each team has to have a representative. That's the way it's always been.
Right.
Even if you were the Washington Senators back in the day, and the old joke was, who are the Washington Senators? They're first in war, first in peace, and last in the American League. Or the Phillies or the Cubs, which didn't have very good teams back in the 50s. Each team had to have a representative. So the Mets have to have a representative.
Right.
Pete Alonso's not it. I'm sorry, fellas. Pete Alonso is not it. You got a young man playing shortstop who's having a lot better year.
Yeah. Problem is he didn't start the year. He didn't start the year like that.
But you have an outfielder named Nimmo who's having a fantastic year.
Yeah.
Both of them are playing are better than.
They're the third baseman Ventos, the catcher Alvarez. I would have said any four of them before Alonso.
Right. Any of those guys could have been on the team except Alonso. Oh, and there's one other guy that should be on the team. If you want a first baseman that's got way better statistics than Alonso, and that's Christian Walker.
Yes.
Of the Diamondbacks. But I think everybody's heard of Ken Rosenthal. He is one of the experts in baseball.
The bow tie on Sunday Night Baseball.
Home Run Derby does not have Shohei Ohtani. Oh, by the way, he's number one in jersey sales. Judge is two. Shohei's first. Shohei Ohtani and Judge aren't in the Home Run Derby. Major League Baseball went, we don't have the two best home run hitters in the Home Run Derby. We need Alonso. Alonso said, okay. Now, this is what Ken Rosenthal said. I had heard earlier in the week that they told Alonso he was going to be on the All-Star team to get him into the Home Run Derby because they needed the name. Rosenthal said this yesterday or the day before. I think it was Friday. He told MLB, I'll be in the Home Run Derby, but I got to be on the All-Star team too. Okay, there you go. That's why he's on the All-Star team.
Well, you know why? He wants that on his resume when he's looking for a next job.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. But the problem is you can be in the Home Run Derby without being on the All-Star team.
Yeah. He's done it before. I mean, he wasn't on when he won it the first time. He wasn't on the All-Star team.
Right. So then now it's okay.
I think the second time was the only time he's ever been on the All-Star team. But
anyway, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because they had two.
I didn't hear that, and it doesn't surprise me any, especially in his walk year. He's trying to, padding that resume up, and he's not playing very well this year. So he's got to have, I was on the All-Star team, and because he's what is he hitting? Let's see. Right now he's hitting 240, which is not terrible, but he doesn't have nearly the home runs. And we've talked about it before. He wants big money, and his type of play is a dime. As much as I love him, it's a dime a dozen. There's that players all over the league.
And the other thing is too, Christian Walker's a better first baseman defensively.
100%, and he's a better hitter, I think. Christian Walker has 2 Gold Gloves now.
Yeah.
So as much as I love Pete Alonso, I scratched my head at him being on the All-Star team with these 4 other guys, which they did hit. They went 3 back-to-back-to-back the other night on Friday night in a game. The bottom of the order did. You would think it'd be like Alvarez, Ventos, and Pete, or JD Martinez, but it wasn't. It was Ventos, Bader, and McNeil did it. So, but Lindor, the problem with Lindor is he started off the season so slow that the second half of the first half, if that makes any sense, it's kind of late. But Nemo's had a good year altogether. And you know how it usually is an all-star too. Lindor didn't have a very good year last year. It's second half he did play well, but he's got the reputation right now, so it's going to take him another year. But it doesn't matter. They're not. None of them are starting. I mean, we got how many Phillies are starting? Was it 7 of them or something stupid? And then,
Alec Bohm, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper are starting.
Yeah. So
depending on who's pitching.
Right. Well, Skeens is pitching.
Skeens is pitching. So it'll be 3 of them. There'll be 3 Phillies that are starting.
Right. So I mean, there you have it right there. I mean, Harper's playing first, which he should. Harper by far is the best first baseman right now in the league. The man's even playing the position well. He's not just hitting in a lineup.
He
plays the position well.
Yeah, I mean, he started out as a catcher,
right?
And then he went to the outfield. And he was a good outfielder. Now he's playing first base. And he's a real good first baseman. I mean,
he's playing first base because they don't have anywhere else to put the cloggers in the outfield at. They got Castellanos and Schwarber when he has to play, so that he played first to open up the guys.
And then the other problem with Harper in the outfield is he's gun shy of the wall now. After he ran into the wall.
Yeah, and it seems like that's where he's hurting himself when he pulls a hamstring or groin or something.
But see, and there's another kid starting on the All-Star team who's having a heck of a year, but nobody knows about him that much. And that's Stephen Kwan of the Indians. The Cleveland Indians, ladies and gentlemen, have the best record in baseball. They and Philadelphia are the 2 best teams in baseball right now. Cleveland and Philadelphia.
Well, Kwan can rake. He won. So he was he played outfield with Carroll. Can you imagine that at Oregon State?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That team. Yeah. So
Jose Altuve was scratched because of his hand, and Simeon is going to start at second base for the American League.
That's not bad.
What else have I got? Oh yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much it for the All-Star game. The Dodgers. Glasnow has gone on the IL with a bad back. He was about the only starting pitcher they had left that anybody knew. Blake Snell was reinstated on the San Francisco Giants. So he's come back from the IL. Dustin May of the Dodgers. Now, he was one of them. I said, he'll come back in August. He and Goslin is his name. And
Kershaw?
Yo guy.
Kershaw?
I said, all these guys are coming. All these guys are coming back. Well, May is going to be out for the rest of the year now. He's having Tommy John surgery on his esophagus.
What?
I heard it the other day, and I looked it up. I pulled it up. I got to see this. I pulled it up, and he has some problem with his esophageal airway, and he's having some kind of surgery. So I'm assuming he's having Tommy John on his esophagus. But he's going to be out the rest of the year, so he
might have really bad acid reflux or something.
Yeah, if you pitch for the Dodgers, you got to have acid reflux. So, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to have to bring, bus boys and volunteer firemen out there to pitch. I have no idea, but that's anyway. Wander Franco, remember over a year ago we were talking about all the problems he had. Well, now I saw where he faces up to 2 years in prison, up to 2 years in prison for sexual abuse and sexual exploitation of a minor.
Mm.
So he's facing that, and he's probably banned from baseball for life.
Oh yeah. If he, yeah, that. I mean, good grief! If we can't have Trevor Bauer back in the league, good grief.
And last week we talked about there was only 12 players in the major leagues hitting over 300. Well, also last Sunday, a week ago, there were 40 plus. It was 40 plus hitting under 200. Now they don't all start, but there's 40 plus major leaguers hitting under 200.
And we got to remember, pitchers don't hit anymore.
No, and the pitchers aren't hitting. You know, you can lower the mound. Colin Cowherd wants to lower the mound. You can lower the mound all you want. But what you have to do if you want the batters to be able to hit is, I guess, the pitcher will have to throw it to second base and the second baseman throw it to the plate.
Right.
Because, you can lower the mound all you want until the players learn how to handle a bat like they used to and hit the opposite way. Now, that was the one thing about those kids yesterday. They had a lot of hits the opposite way because kids got 2 strikes on them and they just wanted to make contact.
Right.
And like one kid said when he was interviewed after the game, I don't look good if I'm striking out.
Right.
So anyway, like I said before, the draft is tonight at 7:00, and they're saying that the draft isn't very strong this year. My question is this: how do you know?
Right. You won't know for 5 years.
Baseball, other than any other professional sport, when they draft, they have no idea what they're getting, unless it's a Paul Skeens or maybe a Bryce Harper or somebody like that. You don't know what you're getting until you get them up into camp and they start going through the system. And
because they might have already peaked too. It's like that in any sport.
But it's still in baseball, these kids got to go through the process, and you don't know what you got until they go through the process. Mm-hmm. Like one of them was being interviewed before the game yesterday, and then I've got to give him credit for honesty. And the girl said, "Well, is going into professional baseball harder?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I played 73 games in college. I pay 132 in the minor leagues, and you pay 162 in the major leagues." He said, "I play in the Florida State League. Every game is 100 degrees and the humidity is 90. So you have to learn how to save your body, how to eat right, how to sleep right. You have to learn all these things, how to train right. All these things are different." The other thing is this. I didn't know this until I was looking up something else and I saw this. They started keeping the records in baseball in 1901. Since 1901 to this year, there have been 18 times, when somebody hit 4 home runs in a game. Just 18 in all that time. That I was flabbergasted. I thought it was a lot more than that, but it's not. It's 18 times. So that goes to show you how hard it is to hit 4 home runs in a game.
Right.
I think Cincinnati hit 6 in their game yesterday. Of course, Cincinnati and Philadelphia playing those little bandboxes, so they hit a lot of home runs. But Cincinnati set a record for 40 home runs in a month or something like that. It was just something crazy. Right. So the draft will be tonight. The All-Star game is Tuesday at 8:00, and that's on Fox. Home Run Derby is tomorrow night on ESPN at 8:00, if anybody's interested. The standings. New York and Baltimore are tied because Baltimore can't win now, and they play today. And the game's being streamed, so the Baltimore fans and New York fans can't watch the game. And the people in New York are screaming.
Yeah, it's being on Roku television.
Yeah, right. And
about 16 people. I own a Roku television, but that's not my main television. It's my one in my spare bedroom.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
I guess I could have watched it if I wanted to today.
that game's being played.
It's all right now.
Yeah, that game's being played. The Red Sox are 4.5 back. So the winner of today's game will be a game up on the other team, either Baltimore or New York. And I'm assuming New York's going to win. The Indians are 4.5 games ahead of the Twins. Seattle is 1 game up on Houston.
So that means the Twins have been playing well. If they're 4.5 back of one of the best teams in baseball, it means they're playing pretty well.
Yeah, and they're stagnant because both teams are still winning.
Yeah. That was my pick is the Twins this year. That's why I got.
Well, you picked them to go all into the World Series. I picked them to win their division. I also picked the Texas to win the West. You picked the Astros, and now both of them are breathing down Seattle's neck.
Right.
In the National League, Philadelphia's got a 113-game lead on the Atlanta Braves. 9.5, but I mean, it might as well be
right.
The Braves are not going to make the playoffs. My prediction. St. Louis is 3 games back.
How do you have how many games the Mets are behind the Braves right now? Do you have that on there?
Yeah, I've got all this.
Okay.
Milwaukee is 3.5 up on St. Louis. The Dodgers are 7 up on the D-backs and the Padres, which are tied. All of a sudden, the D-backs are making a little run here.
Right.
They make a run, then they lose 5 games. Then they make a run and lose 5 games. In the wild card, New York and Baltimore, one of them's winning the division, the other one's in the wild card. Minnesota and Boston. Kansas City is 1 game back. Houston is 2.5 back.
Well, Pete just hit a home run, so there we go.
Good for him. Let him count it for Monday night. Now, in the National League, Atlanta and St. Louis and the Mets are in the wild card. The Mets are like 2.5 games back of Atlanta now, 2.5 or 4. They're right there. And the way Atlanta's playing, and with all the injuries they got.
And the Mets have picked up pitching upon pitching. I told you, they got rid of players last week, and they went out and they picked up pitchers. I knew that. I was like, something's going on, and that's what they did. For players to be named later. So the
Nationals traded Hunter Harvey to Kansas City. And Kansas City gave up their number 2 prospect, Caden Wallace.
For Hunter Harvey? Holy shit. I'm sorry about my language.
Well, Kansas City needs a bullpen. Their bullpen is that's the weakness of their team. Arizona and San Diego are 1 game back. Pittsburgh's 2.5 back, and Cincinnati's 3 back. So the wild card in the National League is going to be that's going to be awesome. And I'll tell you something, the race that looks like it's going to be really good. It's going to be like last year to go down to last weekend. The American League West. Those 3 top teams, Texas, Seattle, and Houston, you can throw a blanket over them. They're that close. Right. So those races are going to be awesome. And so I think it's in I believe
they could have named Jose Iglesias to the All-Star game. He could have done the post-game concert.
Yeah. And sung the national anthem.
All of them.
I think the trading deadline might be the 29th of this month.
Yeah, it's let's see.
I think it's the 29th. I'm not sure. I know it's in that range.
July 30th.
And I know I'm going to disappoint somebody because I forgot to look it up. How many teams have losing records?
My man Ed, he always that's his interest. Yeah, so it's Tuesday, the 30th.
The 30th, yeah, 29th, 30th, yeah, and then that would be 4 o'clock or something like that. That'll be.
It doesn't say. That's what I was looking for. Was the time?
So that should be the deadline for the trades, and we'll see. Boy, I'm telling you, what do you do? Now, I will say this. I don't know if you remember during our prediction show, I predicted that the Mets were going to make the playoffs.
You did.
And I think the Mets are going to overhaul Atlanta. Atlanta has just got way too many injuries, and 2 or 3 of their players who had banner years last year are not having banner years this year.
So the All-Star game is in Seattle, right? Am I
No,
wrong?
it's in Texas.
Texas. That's right. Okay, because this makes sense. Because they're having a draft at the Cowtown Coliseum. You got to move the rodeo down the street.
Yeah, moo, moo, moo.
And the Cleveland Guardians have the first pick.
Yeah, Washington doesn't pick till 10th or something. So there's some toss-up about who might go where, but there's a third baseman, shortstop, third baseman, something like that, / shortstop / third baseman.
High school kid, right?
Well, he's from West Virginia, and he might be the first pick. But we'll find out tonight. I kind of get a kick out of the draft. I'll watch it. Because there again, in baseball, you don't know how these kids are going to be, how good these kids are going to be until a few years down the road. Where on the NFL, those guys are drafted right away to play in the NFL.
Right.
Same thing with the NBA. And the NBA doesn't draft kids to play in the G League. They draft kids to play in the
right.
in the NBA.
Yeah. So, anything else for us tonight, Dad, or today?
No, I mean next Sunday will be the post All-Star game. Oh, and there's no games Wednesday or Thursday. They start again Friday.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was Thursday or Friday.
Well, no, because they start Friday and then they play the Friday, Saturday, Sunday games.
Yeah, I didn't know if anybody had a 4-game set or they were giving.
Hey, I might be wrong because they might have to make up a rainout or something. So,
well, that could be. I mean, it's probably scheduled for Friday, like you said, Friday. So I knew it was. They give them because I know a lot of the players that don't go to the All-Star game really enjoy this break.
Well, see, here again in the old days, son, when the All-Star break didn't have home run derby. It was an All-Star game. That was it, one game.
Right.
So you had the day before and the day after, and then you went back to work.
Well, there was years where they had 2 All-Star games.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years they had 2 All-Star games, and that they were just trying to make some extra money, and then some of the players got tired of that. So,
right.
But that's all.
We're going to end it there. I want to. If with Skeens pitching, you're 100% right. I'll probably watch at least the first inning, see how he does. I'll probably watch the beginning and get mad at them wearing pajamas on the field instead of their uniforms.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I might end the show with a Yogiism.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love old Yogi, but he ordered a pizza and he told the guy to cut it. He said, "Cut it in 4 pieces, not in 6, because I can only eat 4."
Yeah,
this was Yogi.
Yeah,
I just wanted to end on that.
Well, we'll end it there. Until next time, like, share, tell a friend, and we'll see ya.